right, Jamie, you got to check this out. Big hailstorm in Texas. This kind of what we're seeing
What do
here.
they say about Texas?
Everything bigger in Texas.
Apparently.
They can keep the big hail if you ask me. You can see this homeowner in Texas getting covered in hail. We've had stuff like this before in Springfield. I'm going to flip this over. This is what they had where all that hail started to accumulate, and I'd say maybe a foot of hail just on the ground. That is ridiculous. I have
You ever
not
seen anything like that?
No, I have not. That's what I was telling you. First thing I saw is I was like, Jamie, did you see anything like this before? And you're like, yeah, I'm familiar with it.
And the thing is, it's like I've seen it. I can think of like one time. I've seen it a few times. The last time that I remember seeing it, like with my own eyes, we had a big wave of severe weather come through. I remember it was an April night. Okay. This is back, I want to say in like 2014. If folks remember John Ziegler, he was our morning med at the time. I bring up that name because I remember we had done like hours of severe weather coverage, and there was one lone supercell. We weren't worried about tornadoes anymore, but that lone supercell was coming into Aurora, Missouri, which is where I lived at the time.
Yeah.
And John goes, because we were looking at how much hail was being estimated by radar, and he's like, "Hey man, I think that's headed for your house," and he was correct.
You're just crying on radar as you see it. You're like, no, stop.
Really. I mean, when you're a homeowner, you don't want bad stuff like this, right? So I made the 45+ minute drive back to Aurora. Now I'm heading into this thunderstorm, which I know is producing very large hail. I'm worried at the time that I'm going to get dents in my car.
Yeah.
The hail had stopped. I avoided the hail, but I could see on the side of the road there were drifts of hail on the side of the highway. And then by the time I got to my house, there were still some drifts of hail in the yard.
The only thing I can compare it to actually happened earlier this year. I believe March 22nd is when Lebanon got this hailstone, and it looked like snow is blanketing the ground. You know, I would estimate that is just a couple inches.
I mean, it looks like a fresh coating of snowfall.
Yeah. I mean, I did a video on the OBS desk then, so you're kind of getting some OBS desk inception where you're seeing me talking to you while I'm talking to you in the video. But I was just amazed. That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. And you're kind of mentioning earlier, you're like, this is the thing that happens.
That's the radar loop of that night.
Where it was really that one powerful kind of supercell that went in, it dropped hail, didn't have any really concerns about tornadoes. That was back in Lebanon earlier this year, and there's been bigger events, and you brought up to my attention of this event. Let me pull it up for you. Look at this guy, Jamie. This is in Amarillo, 2012, I believe, Amarillo, Texas, where it's about 4 feet of hail. That is not snow.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That is hail. It's up to the fireman's elbow.
It's up to his shoulders.
It's just
that's not a doctored image. That's a lot of hail that's fallen. Now it's gathered because I'm thinking too that there were floodwaters also, and I think that it had kind of gathered in the floodwaters and kind of accumulated in this spot. But still, I mean, you could see where the water had cut through that drift of hail. I mean, that's what he's standing in right now is a channel carved out by the floodwater. But isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I almost think it's like Photoshop. You know, it's like, how can this be real? This is a term we looked up. They call them hail glaciers, where you get so much hail so quickly and it tightly packs together that it forms essentially what is a glacier. It's just is a big old blob of ice, and you're getting them in the middle of summer, which is a lot of times. If we can go back to this kind of original video, you mentioned, Jamie, you said once you get a lot of hail, you can start to see a little bit of fog that forms just off of it, where that hail starts to melt, because it's normally on those summer days.
I mean, you've got a high humidity environment, and then you're putting ice in that high humidity environment, and it's going to cause condensation, and you're going to get this ground fog until that layer of hail can melt away.
Not expecting anything like that for us.
Well, you know, another picture too, Matt. So Matt and I were looking through different pictures of this, and while that looks ridiculous, 4 feet of hail, we found an image, and I don't know if you've got this. I don't think you do, but
no.
We found an image. I mean, this is a real. I don't remember what year it was. It was 14 or 15 feet of hail. They were referring to this hail glacier, the cut that was through it, as a hail cliff, and it was, again, no doubt 14, 15 feet of hail. There were people standing in front. I mean, it was just, hail is rare enough. Although I can remember we had a meteorologist, Matt, that used to work here. Her name was Beth Finello. She had grown up in New Jersey, and they don't get a lot of severe weather in New Jersey. And when she moved here, she was very excited for one particular reason, not to see snow. I mean, she got that in New Jersey. It was
Tornadoes?
To see hail.
Ah.
She had never seen hail before, and I said, Beth, I promise you, within a year, you will see hail.
Yeah.
Because one thing that is for certain about this area, even though the hail you see in any given year might be small, I mean, we may be talking pea to dime or nickel size hail, you will see it every single year. And it was within, golly, I think she had been here for maybe 6 months. It was in January.
Yeah.
And we had a hailstorm, quarter-size hail. And this, you might have thought it was her first snow. She ran outside. She gathered hailstones. She was so excited. I was not excited because it was banging up my truck that I had to get like $3,500 worth of damage.
Yeah, cussing the whole time.
Taken care of. Yeah, but she was so excited to see this quarter-size hail.
I think on my weather wish list is I want to see the eye of a hurricane. That's something I want to be inside of an eye. I want it to just be pouring down rain, and then
legit eye.
And then it calms down. And I want to walk outside and look into it.
And the thing is, you want it to be a legit eye. A lot of times, when a hurricane makes landfall, that eye will fill in, or the eye wall may open up, and it's not. I mean, it's still the eye of the hurricane, but it's not like
I want
the well-defined, complete eye. So. When you love the weather, this is kind of the kind of stuff you do. Beth got excited about the hail. This is back in 1995. It was Hurricane Opal.
Okay.
Not Hurricane Opal, I'm sorry. It was Hurricane Aaron. Opal came later in the year. Hurricane Aaron hit near Pensacola. I believe it was early August. So I made a trip. I was going down to Pensacola anyway, but I did not cancel my trip because of this storm. I was like, now I absolutely want to go because of this storm. I went down to Pensacola, and the storm came through during the morning hours, during the daylight hours, and I watched this hurricane. It wasn't overly strong. I think it reached peak intensity of maybe, might have been a 2. On the Saffir-Simpson
I got it pulled
scale.
up here. We're talking about Aaron, right?
Aaron.
I think it momentarily just barely became 3. I think it just very
that must
shortly.
Be a revision. I don't remember. I do remember this. I mean, it did have winds, I think, of around 105 miles per hour.
I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. It momentarily became 2. Is mostly 1.
Right when it came ashore. I will say, and even though that wasn't an overly powerful hurricane, it was all the hurricane experience, like experiencing the eye that I need. Because I can tell you this about that. When you experience a hurricane, those outer rain bands, you're like, okay, it's a hurricane. Heavy rain, there's some wind. But with each successive rain band that comes through, the wind speeds ramp up. And then the rain band passes and the wind speeds will fall off. And then the next rain band hits and the wind speeds will ramp up, but a little bit further. And then they'll fall off. When you get to the eye wall of a hurricane, it's night and day between what you've seen before
the calm,
and then what you get when the eye wall actually moves through. It looks like pandemonium. I mean, the wind ramps up to the highest levels that you've seen so far in the storm. I remember watching, I was watching signs getting blown, like signage for businesses getting blown over. Trees were going down, tree limbs are going, and it's all happening at the same time. And then the eye of the storm moves in. And it was just the way, people will write about it. We went from these crazy winds, very dark, very heavy rainfall. Eye comes through, and I remember the parking lot of the motel that I was staying in. There was 4 inches of standing water because there had been so much rain. 4 inches of standing water in the parking lot. But there was just a light ripple on the water because the winds. There was just virtually no wind. The sun came out. It lasted probably about 10 to 15 minutes. And then the other side of the eye came through. The back side of that eye wall came through, and it went right back to where we were. I mean, dark, heavy rain, intense winds. It is an experience.
This is an experience, too, especially if you're a homeowner getting the heavy hail. Just wanted to show that off to you guys because this is something that you don't see often,
No.
and let's hope you don't really see it into our area either. I imagine a lot of people don't want to see anything like this anytime soon. But still have some more chances of severe weather to end the year. I think we're gradually transitioning from an active pattern to summer's around the corner, not quite there yet. We're going to keep on providing you guys updates on when we think more storms will be coming through, updates on when we'll finally get drier after all this rain. You can find that on our website, ozarksource.com.